Ascendant in Aquarius. When we say that someone is from Aquarius, it is because he was born between January 20 and February 19, approximately the period in which the sun transits that sign. Instead, to know if the ascendant is in Aquarius, you need to know the time and place of birth, because the ascender is the sign that appears on the horizon at the east point at the time of the first breath, and will be the sign which will be seen in the sky in the next hours. Aquarius, showing himself on the horizon, suggests a destiny to encourage himself to be the novelty that comes to replace the obsolete and to manifest his creative difference, although this leads him to feel exiled from the rest. Aquarius proposes a life of creative talents that enable revolutionary paradigms, symbolizes the birth of a psychic that will live in the future and that will feel alien to the present time. He feels exiled in his time because the future interests him more than the present, where he usually lives with anxiety and existential strangeness. Tolerating the difference and communicating it will be his great challenge, as the more he tries to fit, the more anguished he is, and the more generates a destiny of abandonment and madness. Aquarius is a fixed sign like Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio, and this modality suggests a destiny to become persevering and committed. In addition to being fixed, Aquarius is from air and proposes to learn to remain fixed and committed in his ideas, even if the rest do not share them, and to be constant in his futuristic way of perceiving the world. It is worth differentiating. If you're the moon in Aquarius, you need freedom and emotional space. If you are Aquarius, you're free, weird, and creative. If you are an ascendant in Aquarius, you should learn to empower yourself in your difference and to express your futuristic creativity. Every ascendant in Aquarius will attend, to a greater or lesser extent, scenes of cuts and downtime that will lead him to develop improvisational and creative talents in the face of every unexpected event. He lives connected with what is coming, with the future, and therefore he feels alien to what his environment perceives and exiled in the present time. The more you try to fit into the reality around you, the more distressed you will feel. In its effort to adapt, it tends to harden itself, when the ideal would be to encourage itself to express its differences and to be the communicator of new ideas. Feeling so different is often unbearable, confusing, and dangerous. The worst thing you can do is try to be normal, because in normality you only feel more anguish and loneliness. By striving to encounter social canons, he is moving away from the creativity that his life promises. In his claim to become conventional, he silences everything he perceives and does not communicate his revolutionary ideas. If it adjusts to existing norms, it does not reformulate the decadent practices and customs of its environment, and it is moving away from its Aquarian destiny of being an example of a more free and creative existence. Realizing what others do not recognize can be intolerable and lonely. Because we humans need to fit in with others, we long to belong, to adjust to pre-existing and familiar patterns. What is truly new and unique is unbearable, confusing, and dangerous. The more you punish and hide your rarity, the more you tighten into a controlling and perfectionist style. The more you force yourself to fit in and be common, the more life takes you out of normality with cuts and unforeseen. Recognizing your own existential anguish and accepting yourself in your own rarity will be the first steps not to judge yourself mad and throw yourself into the abyss of your own nonsense. The sooner you accept your difference, the more you can start to fit into your own personal story. The ascendant in Aquarius tends to isolate himself for feeling strange, but his Aquarian destiny requires to relate, work in team, generate networks, and communicate his ideas. And if he remains locked up in his inner exile, this will not happen. The more he opens up to relationships, the more he discovers the creativity and synchronicity of the ties that surround him and begins to intuit himself as part of a large human constellation. You will have to change your own paradigms in order to really feel part of a great human consciousness. The massification of the internet helps to this perception of unity and network. The ascendant in Aquarius contributes to the change of consciousness, as it announces a future where individuals could be more solidarity in perceiving the pain of the other as their own. It vibrates with a new consciousness that will evolve from Homo sapiens to Homo spiritualis, a human conscience that values spirituality and solidarity more than intelligence and competitiveness. It proposes living as humans who manage to generate a culture based on love and spiritual awakening, who transformed competitiveness into cooperation and ecological awareness. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thanks, the revolutionary proposal of his destiny can be taken advantage of or suffered, but the events of his life always lead him to the aquarium that includes the unforeseen, the crazy, the discontinuous, the creative, the discontinuous, the creative, the different, the little form, and the uncertain. Every ascendant in Aquarius will witness, to a greater or lesser extent, scenes of interruptions of what was planned, unexpected abandonments, people moving away, or situations that seemed stable and secure, that end in an unusual way, for destiny tries to awaken in the person the qualities of non-appartenance and freedom. The Ascendant in Aquarius suggests a life signed by continuous renewal, as it responds to a logic beyond any pattern and any norm. Life itself is a scene for continuous creativity and the unforeseen, where there is the unexpected novelty day by day, and where it is not possible to plan or retain anything, because nothing is stable. Everything is discontinuous and creative. It will always be surrounded by rare and inexplicable situations. People who are rebellious, indisciplined, uncompromised, and unstable, but also creative, revolutionary, solidarity, and futurism. Ascending Aquarius organizes the astrological houses and experiences in a particular way. But in some birth cards with ascending in Aquarius, a special phenomenon called intercepted signs may occur, which may make that in that particular letter, not all houses match these elements. In any case, the ascendant matrix and its corresponding distribution of elements and signs works. You only have to add punctual themes of the signs that appear different, as information that adds scenarios and learning, but that does not disable what is described below. How to plant the different learnings of an aquarium ascendant, individuality, scenarios, house 1 in Aquarius. Revolutionary action or reactive rebellion. The first sign that appears on the birth card of an ascendant Aquarius is Aquarius, because that is the sign that starts his astral map or his house, one which is the same as the ascendant. His way of expressing himself will be unpredictable and strange, as he often has reactions different from those expected, which may seem crazy or out of place, but which generally include innovative and futuristic proposals. That is why they are not understood in the present. As he lives in the future, he dwells in the present with anguish, living in a time that is pure potentiality where nothing is certain because it has not yet happened. He will have to accept himself in his chaotic and original style, to go tracing a life of unstable creativity and singularity, where his destiny will push him not to belong or expect recognition, because his place is different and unrecognizable to his environment. In Aquarius, everything is a future promise. His security will always be changing, and his personality uncertain and unpredictable, because every time he expresses himself, he does it once, in an unprecedented and unrepeatable way. To live a personality always different and in the process of self-discovery is to live without knowing oneself. That's why he often tries to be normal and disguise himself in a rigid style with which he thinks he can control his reactions. But the harder and more defensive it is, the more it will provoke a fate of change and unforeseen, because creativity and uncertainty will manifest through crazy relationships and discontinuous and unpredictable situations. The Ascendant in Aquarius proposes to recognize itself as a consciousness that is part of a human network where lots of people will be important in their lives. Their destiny is the opposite of developing a personalized and self-centered project, because their identity is recycled in each new group proposal. Advanced or solidary. Gemini in House 5, playful and light spirit or irresponsibility to show. The fifth sign of the Ascendant Aquarius is Gemini and suggests an open way of expressing itself, a permit to question social arrangements, and a freedom to question the things of the world. His Geminian, playful and irreverent style also enables him not to take himself too seriously or believe in his own achievements. He minimizes personal importance and mocks his own ego, because he knows that feeling important makes him heavy, ugly, and vanity, and he needs to be light and fluid. Geminis gives you the freedom to look different and express your unusual occurrences, enabling you to play with your identity, to be light and to be different without the need to fit in models or standards imposed. His creativity is dual, because it switches between the desire to commit to the projects that stimulate him and the fear of losing his freedom. At a level of tension, Geminis makes him contradictory and with difficulty in committing or trusting himself. Likewise, House 5 in Geminis symbolizes the relationship with the children and suggests a double link between wanting to commit to paternity or avoiding it for fear of losing their freedom. Therefore, he delays his decision, and when he finally decides to seek a child, it may seem that life is going against him and makes it difficult for him. If you have children, it usually relates from a childish and playful way and generates the duality of wanting to be your partner, but it makes it difficult to impose limits. House 9 in Libra, space where to find balance and compensation of life or doubts in the vocational sense. The 9th sign of the Ascendantaquarius is Libra and suggests a life that finds meaning when you become docile to the opinion of others and let yourself be helped by the infinite ideas and possibilities that others know how to bring to you. House 9 in Libra suggests that the great lessons of life come from those with whom you go encountering unwillingly. Libra, the sign of the scale, proposes a loving spiritual understanding in which there is not a judging God who judges and punishes us, but a destiny that provides consequences to our own actions and that brings opportunities to balance us through the law of cause and effect. In the area of answers, Libra suggests that his destiny expands when he relies on walking accompanied, but without excessive dependencies. The Libyan quality does not admit psychological or intellectual attachment to any teacher. The other who helps to grow and gives answers does it from a complementary place of affinity, of habilitation, and of space. It challenges and struggles with any excessively dogmatic or suffocating religion or educational space. Libra, oscillating and lightweight, is allowed to doubt, investigate, and question again their beliefs. It flows better when it is not locked up in any paradigm because it has understood that it cannot and does not serve to cling to any certainty. Libra suggests the need to live a religion pacifist and leveling, because beyond any system of beliefs, the Ascendant in Aquarius believes in peace and feels the obligation to rejoice with the love that we must manifest in every relationship and in every relationship and in every event. Naturally pacifist and ecological, pacifying the world can become their main vocation and way of life. House 9 also contacts him with other cultures and suggests that traveling or living in other countries is often amplifying and reassuring, as moving away from his everyday reality enables him a broader and more complementary look. Scenarios of materialization, House 2 in Piscis, sensitivity or confusion to generate money. The second sign of the Ascendant Aquarius is Pisces and suggests empathy and sensitivity to manage and distribute their resources, but warns confusion and lack of limits to take care of oneself and generate resources. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thanks. To generate abundance, you will need to understand how to cause the mutant Piscean quality and find ways to generate money through artistic, humanistic, or esoteric activities. Aquarius is his being manifesting in his destiny, and House 2 reveals that he needs to own Pisces to generate resources and recognize himself valuable and solvent. The solvent and oceanic fish quality seems to be an antagonistic energy for the area of self-evaluation and economic affirmation. It is common to have conflicts with money and tends to dissolve and erase edges. You should be very attentive to your tendency not to care about money, often to have debts or economic chaos, or even to demonize those who have resources. That is why he tends to have difficulty achieving material solvency in his own life. At an integrated level, Pisces in House 2 needs to possess empathy and resonance in order to be able to generate matter, and proposes to entrust it to perform resonant solidarity and artistic tasks to consolidate economically. The more you work from what you like, the better your economic reality will flow. Pisces is an inclusive energy and invites you to manage money in a separate and solidary way, but also warns of chaos and disorganization when prioritizing spending or ordering your economy. Cancer in House 6, sensitive care, or inherited stiffness in everyday habits. The sixth sign of the Ascendant Aquarius is Cancer, and suggests preserving and seeking moments of intimacy in their daily routines. Isolating and protecting yourself in private spaces will be crucial to counteracting your changing and distressing Aquarium destiny, often seeking to protect yourself in repetitive methods that calm you and give you tranquility. In general, it suggests good treatment and familiarity with the people he works with, but at a level of tension, it leads him to shut up so that his colleagues do not discover his peculiar personality and despise or criticize him. Likewise, Cancer connects you with animals and gives you a loving ability to observe them and enjoy their tender company. His particular sensitivity to other living realms makes him a protector of nature, ecologist, and naturist. It confronts our obsolete exclusive compassion for human suffering and denounces the submission that we violate to nature and forces us to resignify food and lifestyle. House 6 also demonstrates the ability to discern between the best and the unnecessary, between the useful and the superfluous, and must learn to take its time to distinguish between tasks that nurture it and tasks which embrace it or only support them to appear normal. He should allow himself to feel what he really needs beyond the norms of his environment, because he suspects that his health requires not adapting to what a commonly deeply ill society values. At a level of stress, Cancer can lead you to ostracism and everyday confinement. In this way, he arms an armored life in order to avoid sharing his daily activities. As he is perceived very differently, he prefers to withdraw in order not to be criticized or confronted. House 10, in Scorpio. Intense commitment or destructive ambition at work? The 10th sign of the Ascendant Aquarius is Scorpio and suggests a challenging and transgressive way to face labor tasks. The transformative sign of Scorpio in the area of social mandates leads him to occupy a role of questioning established norms and to denounce the darkness of working spaces. The Ascendant in Aquarius longs for a new society, without economic or social inequalities. But in order for social change to become a reality, it will first have to transform the mind of each of us trapped in a personal universe, loaded with grief, jealousy, pain, anger, envy, and problematic relationships. At the political level, there is even greater tension, because our reality is divided into political and economic realities that allow for exploitation, oppression, and war. As long as this level of personal and social tension persists, it will be difficult to form a solidarity society. This renewal that the Ascendant in Aquarius longs for cannot happen until each passes through a profound internal transformation that prepares us to be part of the advent of a more solidary humanity. Scorpio in the House 10 also proposes the need to always transform his workspaces, and although he likes what he does, he usually gets tired and looking for new activities. Every time you reach a goal, you need to put in a new one to start over. Scorpio in House 10 is ambitious and always aspires a little more. At a level of tension, Scorpio in House 10 makes you ambitious, competitive, and overwhelming, and creates difficulties in your working environment. In his excessive effort to belong and attain status, it can cause him mental exhaustion and paranoia and live the professional environment always between fights and complex games of power, with difficulty to obey orders and respect authority. His rebellious and questioning style tends to produce ruptures in the social or labor structures of which he is part. A well-integrated Scorpio in House 10 enables you to interact with powerful, healing, and profound authority people who can even help you progress and improve your social status. Similarly, House 10 symbolizes the father, who will be an intense and complex figure in which the person projects demand and omnipotence, or, on the contrary, lives him as someone who gave up everything, but remained in the place of suffering victim. Link scenarios. Aries in House 3. Brave and pioneering ways of thinking or combative word, and recurring fights with peers, the third sign of the Ascendant Aquarius. is Aries and suggests a provocative and avant-garde style to communicate your thoughts. Aries, the warrior's sign, makes him straight and frank in his words, but he can get hurt and provoke more than he realizes himself. As a talent, Aries gives her a spontaneous, frank, and simple style that enables her to convey in a simple and understandable way. Aries opens his mind and leads him to be pioneer in his ideas and have great mental strength to communicate his thoughts, revolutionizing social patterns. Your courage will be crucial to move forward with your ideas and say what you think, even if it does not coincide with what your environment endorses. I am courageous in his truth, questioning outdated mandates and unnecessary rules. At a level of tension, your bold words can seem very aggressive and generate too many conflicts and fights. Clear and fearless, he can hardly shut up if he does not agree, and can become timid and uncompromising when he has to negotiate with highly structured people or with very obsolete ideas. You will have to work patience to harmonious relationships and learn to develop the ability to listen. Although Aries is not patient, he is courageous, and listening really is often an act of courage. He has the courage to remain silent without having to defend himself and allows to be penetrated by new information. Only an extraordinarily active and, at the same time, receptive mind can incorporate different ways of thinking. Also, Aries in House 3 symbolizes the bond with the brothers. This relationship may be stimulating, but it warns of unnecessary aggressiveness and combativity. The brothers, like the peers, activate it, but also irritate it, by judging them subject to old patterns. He often has to make an effort not to get angry with his different perceptions. Read in House 7. Heart resonance and creative motivation or ego struggle in the couple. The seventh sign of the Ascendantaquarius is Leo, and suggests the importance of finding a pair to admire for their creativity and strength. House 7 in Leo symbolizes that the other one that attracts him brings brightness and distinction to his life, but also difficulties of competitiveness and offense. The Ascendant in Aquarius, in a couple, discovers Leo's sign, discovers how the other one adds courage to show themselves and confidence to shine. Contagies it with his lush and creative style. To take advantage of this quality of bonding, you must first overcome the contradiction produced by people who are too appalling or selfish. Leo attracts him, but also generates rejection for being excessively self-centered and self-referential. He must understand that he is attracted to his partner being self-assured because he can also tolerate his rarities without questioning him, and can feel loved in his madness and accompanied on his intermittent path of creativity. Leo enjoys their peculiarities and has fun with their madness, but you will have to be encouraged to be truly honest and say what each needs, however strange this may seem, so that the couple can work. Leo, at a tense level, can generate tyranny and submission in the couple. He whom one loves is the sovereign or pretends to be so, and generates eternal conflicts by wanting to impose his will in arbitrary ways. The couple can become a source of eternal disturbances, offenses, and selfish competences. The other, radiant and expressive, is a mirror of one's own pride, and if it does not work on itself, the couple or societies become battlefields that can scare him and lead him to never want to associate, or mate him to never want to associate, or mate for fear of losing his freedom. House 11 in Sagittarius. Trusted expansion or dogmatic rigidity with friends. The 11th sign of the ascending Aquarius is Sagittarius and suggests finding vitality and expansion in interacting with groups and in connecting with friends. The Sagittarian quality of growth and trust is activated when you connect with others. Group interaction often leads much better to their revolutionary Aquarian destiny. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, thanks. In the area of renewal and new ideas, Sagittarius perceives that it is not possible to have firm certainty since every project and relationship is discovered every second that the path of wisdom does not respond to any book, to any religion, or to any teacher, but is revealed every moment in interaction with the things of the world and with the people who cross the way. Sagittarius in House 11 is allowing yourself to think differently at every moment and discover yourself in eternal change of perception according to what each connection and each new situation produces. Moreover, Sagittarius in House 11 symbolizes that in order to find the deepest meaning of existence, you must allow yourself to be free, allow others to express themselves freely, and endorse groups where everyone can show themselves genuinely, without the risk of causing conflicts or incongruities. House 11 also binds him to his friends, who, in a level of tension, can perceive them too believed, and excludes himself so that they do not avasal him. If you tolerate the extravagance of your groups and open up to your friends, they tend to be motivating enthusiasts that open you to endless opportunities for growth. Sagittarius in the 11th house makes him a communicator of new ways of understanding life, with a great enthusiasm to communicate the new paradigms of thought, which will help to gesture a more just society. Emotional scenarios: Taurus in House 4, safety or inert comfort with mother and family. The fourth sign of the Ascendant Aquarius is Taurus, and usually represents the danger of getting stuck to an emotional and material security that does not risk the new. However, as a talent, he contacts him with a strong and secure family history that gives him a firm confidence to encourage himself to unfold his creative difference. His destiny of air, instability and renewal, comes into conflict with his psychic heritage that longs for stability and continuity. His life pushes him toward Aquarian freedom and discontinuity. The more he tries to take refuge in Taurus and stay quiet and safe, the more he will suffer instability and abrupt cuts by fate. The longer he clings to bonds of fear, the better he will attract rare and abandoned people who come to compensate for his fear of change. At a level of tension, to take refuge in Taro is to resort to inertia and non-change, seeking to preserve and reproduce family legacy that values stability and security. You feel safe when you think you have everything under control, and when you delay changes as much as you can. You must learn to leave in time and not stay longer than necessary in situations or ties that no longer have vitality. The more frightened you are, the more you stretch and delay any new or creative situation presented to you. As a talent, Taro in its foundations allows you to rely on your emotional solvency to go through the unusual changes and unforeseen of your life unshakable. Taro in his emotional base gives him great emotional stability to open up and nourish himself of every unusual situation that brings him his destiny. Taro gives him strong and firm roots, emotional solvency, psychic and physical strength to feel safe in the face of the unexpected events of his life, and perseverance and patience to not give up when things become difficult. House 8 in Virgo. Deep questions or critical discomfort with life. The 8th sign of the Ascendantaquarius is Virgo and warns of an excessive attachment to understanding and controlling, from his own logic, all the unusual things that happen to him by destiny. If she resists accepting the mysterious changes in her aquarium life, she becomes irascible and despised for feeling unable to control her own destiny. As he lives a very different life than expected, he often feels failed and is questioned every step, criticized and corrected all the time to see if he manages to cause himself and improve. Virgo in House 8 makes him very self-critical and also critical of others. House 8 shows him that his worst shadow is always to find defects in everyone and in himself, and therefore often lives in eternal dissatisfaction. House 8 suggests that the sign must be transformed so that the ascendant develops smoothly. He will have to transcend his self-critical virgin grid of his own madness to begin to accept the mystery of his individual rarity and the unusual creativity surrounding him. Virgo in House 8 proposes to abandon his desire to understand or hope to live a normal life, to accept that his path will never be perfect and much less predictable or methodical, and thus begin to perceive that his life is not defective, but totally different from what he had planned. Virgo as a talent in the 8th house suggests that, in the face of the changes and instabilities of his destiny, The Virginian quality empowers him of humble adaptability to adapt to what happens and to understand that his fate will not respond to a traditional life. Virgo prepares him to transform himself eternally to become an ever more functional individual who, far from resisting himself, favors and optimizes situations, even if they do not coincide with what he had planned. House 8 is also associated with a complex way of sharing money and energy. Virgo can make you greedy and controlling or give you the intelligence and sagacity to observe repetitive patterns and discover that the more we are mesquinous, more we destroy relationships, that every time someone tries to seize the money generated by relationships from the past, relationships of the present are destroyed and contaminated. As talent, the House 8 in Virgo suggests the ability to discriminate what belongs to each person and peacefully and sensibly distribute what is inherited. It is likely that, although it is not known, at the time when a person was born with Ascendant in Aquarius, the family was going through some work crisis or unexpected shortcomings. His family lived in a time of austerity, in which activities that provided material or emotional security were in danger. This mark of tension left in the person an unconscious fear to release what is known as panic to recurring situations of crisis or instability. House 12 in Capricorn. Maximum pragmatic and realistic wisdom, or exaggerated authoritarianism, and unconscious rigidity. The 11th sign of the Ascendantaquarius is Capricorn and suggests a particular capture of the social mandates and of the psychic structures that support the collective reality. He knows the great clock of life and intuits when it is time to abandon outdated situations or when it's time to give way to new projects. At a level of tension, Capricorn resonating in the unconscious usually absorbs mandates of rigidity that lead him to assume the role of judge sentencing and to configure it in a rigid and authoritarian style. He becomes enchanted by reproducing mandates, becomes tense and arbitrary, and does not allow anyone to question him. Capricorn believes in being perfect and doing everything right, strives to belong and abide by social norms to stay within social structures, and seeks safe work projects and stable relationships. In his effort to fit and be normal, he is obliged to a life that is a model of perfection, but that will be continuously disarmed through unexpected, rare, and unusual situations. His Aquarian destiny will not allow him to remain fixed or make an identity in any safe place, and will bother him until he manages to eject him from his spheres of belonging so that he is animated to arm an independent story, and away from recognition and subordination. The more she travels through uncertainties, the more she feels anxious and fantasies with retreat and loneliness to get away from society and find calm and relief. His tendency to feel a social exile can lead him to the extreme of mental imbalance. At an integration level, Capricorn's wisdom allows you to understand and grasp that reality is, rather than fixed and stable, a continuous renewal and therefore, far from fear, knows how to respond to the permanent changes in your life. He understood that the natural thing in life is that nothing is ever the same, and knows how to play the game of the Ascendant in Aquarius, to move with mastery in the continuous intermittence that happened to him. Also, House 12 in Capricorn symbolizes the figures of authority and the father, who can exert a strong pressure to make him perfect and mature. However, such weight often makes him more rebellious and comforting. It may also suggest that his father expected him to take over his job, but that for this Ascendant it was excessively heavy or boring. It symbolizes a demanding father. At an integrated level, House 12 in Capricorn knows how to fluently incorporate good conduct, and it is he himself who orders, without the need for external authorities to limit it. In its autonomous resolution capacity, it can become a reference for others to bring a life free of fear to the what will they say, as it does not need to fit into a society sick of greed and competitiveness. Its free but responsible style can help resignify rigorous conditioning and provoke a psychological revolution that seeks us to become authoritative, free individuals, and a society that stops blindly reproducing old laws and policies that only convey devitalized and outdated last. He lives the norms of today's world as immoral, because they admit competition, greed, and ambition. Capricorn in House 12 perceives the expiration of most of our laws and invites us to revolutionize our social patterns, loaded with conditioning. It shows us how much of our social and political conflicts arise from trying to order the present world with designs of the past. The House 12 in Capricorn empowers him to build a new world, more just and solidary, because it does not fit into the injustice of the present world and demands a design of the future. Summary of the Ascendant in Aquarius mode. Fixed, engaged. Element, air, linker. Learning by destination. Committed to new ideas, revolutionary, avant-garde, futuristic and liberating. Tendency, trying to belong and fulfill demanding mandates or go crazy. It suffers. Rare and uncompromised people, situations of exile, abandonment, and madness. Regent planet. Uranus, former ruler, Saturn. Part of the body that governs and of special vulnerability. Nervous system. Thanks for watching and remember to subscribe. Period of fundamental learning. From 42 to 49 years old, you must resigning the feeling of being strange that you already had from the first 7 years of life. Depending on how healed your sense of exile from the world, you will be able to free yourself with greater creativity after 49. Life mission. To be futuristic and revolutionary. Misunderstanding of the mission. Being rebellious and eternally inadequate. Distribution of signs by houses for Ascendant in Aquarium. Their action destination is Aquarius. Generate with Pisces. Communicate with Aries. Emotionally stabilize with Tauro. Express with Gemini. Organize with Cancer. Complement with Leo. Turn into Virgo. Trust Libra. Working with Scorpio. Open new projects with Sagittarius. Resonate with Capricorn. If this Ascendant finds a way to integrate these proposals, it will. The destiny of creative revolutionary. Generate with intuition and empathy. Communicate in brave and pioneering ways. Be emotionally solid and secure. Express yourself with lightness and joy. Organize yourself in familiar, secure ways that calm down. By complementing each other, it radiates vitality. As they transform, they recycle inefficient and repetitive patterns. Trust and grow with others. Work with deep healing commitment. Open up to the new with enthusiasm and confidence. Resonate with the fundamental laws of life. If this Ascendant does not find a way to integrate these proposals, he will suffer a destiny of exile and madness. Generate resources that are diluted and chaotic. Communicate in a combative and bellicose manner. Be emotionally stubborn and stubborn. Show yourself changing and alterable. Organize yourself in repetitive and childish ways. Complement each other by competing in order not to give in to protagonism. Instead of transforming, become more critical and prejudiced. Being full of doubts, surrender and trust. Labor power conflicts and repeatedly destroy their work. Tendency to let go, disengage with your own projects and hand them over to others. To be enchanted with being authoritarian and a great judge who demands absolute perfection.